I had everything I thought a person could want: a successful career, a sleek apartment in the heart of the city, and a girlfriend everyone thought was the one. My life was polished, picture perfect, and looked just like something out of a magazine. But deep down, I couldn't shake this feeling, this nagging sense that something was missing. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And so, I convinced myself that proposing to Sarah would fill the void I'd been carrying around. Sarah was everything I thought I wanted. She was beautiful, sophisticated, and a perfect fit for the life I was building. She carried herself with a quiet elegance that turned heads whenever we entered a room together. We'd been through the usual cycle of dates, glamorous events, vacations, and we always looked like the perfect couple on social media. Yet, despite all of it, there was a growing distance between us, a silent but widening space we both ignored. On a crisp, sunny afternoon, I stood in the park, the velvet box holding a carefully chosen diamond ring feeling heavy in my hand. I had arranged the proposal to be grand because Sarah adored these kinds of gestures. The trees were swaying gently, the sunlight filtering down in soft, golden rays. It was a scene straight out of a romance novel, and I was convinced this moment would be the one to bring us back together. As she walked towards me, looking flawless in a designer dress that hugged her figure perfectly, I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "Sarah," I began, my heart pounding as I held out the open ring box. "I love you. Will you marry me?" For a split second, everything was perfect, suspended in that hopeful silence. But then I noticed her expression, a subtle hesitation, a flicker of something I didn't expect. She looked at the ring, her face unreadable, and then, finally, she shook her head, her voice calm but firm. "No," she said, almost a whisper, yet the impact was devastating. My heart sank. "Well, what do you mean no?" I stammered, feeling like the ground had been pulled from beneath me. "I thought we talked about a future together, about starting a family." Sarah crossed her arms, her eyes cool, almost distant. "Yes, we did. But, Eric, you're never around. You're always working, always thinking about your career, and I don't want to spend my life waiting for you to show up." Her words cut deeper than I expected, exposing all the fractures I'd ignored in our relationship. I stood there, speechless, as she looked at me with a finality I couldn't argue with. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the middle of the park, clutching a ring no one wanted. The ring box felt like a weight in my hand, a reminder of everything that had just fallen apart. I felt humiliated, standing there with people whispering around me, casting sympathetic glances as they passed by. The perfect life I had built for myself now felt like a hollow shell. I was so absorbed in my misery that I didn't notice the young woman who had approached me until she softly said, "Hey, are you okay?" Startled, I looked up to see a woman in worn, slightly ragged clothes. Her hair was a bit messy, and she didn't look like she belonged in this pristine park, but her eyes were warm and curious. "I'm fine," I muttered, trying to brush her off, but she didn't leave. Instead, she just stood there, as if waiting, not pushing but somehow grounding me in that moment. Finally, something made me ask, "What's your name?" "Emily," she said with a small smile. "And you?" "Eric," I replied, feeling my voice waver. There was a pause, and then Emily spoke again, her tone soft but knowing. "You proposed, didn't you?" And she said no. It wasn't a question, it was a quiet observation. For some reason, hearing it from a stranger made it feel even more real. "Yeah," I said, the word heavy. She said no. Emily gave me a sympathetic look, then said something that surprised me. "You give up too easily." I blinked, taken aback. "What?" "You don't know me," I said, frustration rising. "You don't understand what it's like to be rejected in front of everyone." Her smile faded, and a quiet sadness entered her eyes. "Actually, I do," I get rejected all the time when I ask people for a bit of help or a meal. It's not the same, but it still hurts. Her honesty took me by surprise, cutting through my self-pity. I hadn't considered what it might feel like to live her life, facing rejection day after day. "I'm sorry," I said quietly, ashamed of my own self-centeredness. She waved it off with a shrug. "No need to apologize. I just wanted to say, don't give up so easily." Emily turned to leave, but something in me stopped her. "Wait," I called out. Can I buy you a coffee? Or something to eat?" She looked at me, clearly surprised, but then nodded. "Sure, I'd like that." We walked to a cafe nearby, and as we sat down with our coffee, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. We started talking, first just small things, but soon we found ourselves sharing deeper thoughts. She told me about her life, her family, and the events that led to her current situation. She spoke of loss, hardship, and moments where she felt completely alone. Yet she shared it all with a kind of quiet resilience that amazed me. "You have a good heart, you know that?" I found myself saying, realizing how much I meant it. Emily smiled, a little embarrassed. "I don't know about that," she replied softly, looking down. "I've just learned to keep going, no matter what." Our conversation carried on, and I felt something within me shift. The life I had meticulously crafted with Sarah, the career I'd devoted myself to, it all seemed so superficial compared to the connection I was feeling here with a stranger over coffee. My phone buzzed, pulling me out of the moment. Sarah's name flashed on the screen, and Emily noticed the change in my expression. "You should answer that," she said gently, as if sensing my hesitation. I glanced at her, conflicted. "Thank you," I said, standing up. "Thank you for everything." She nodded, her eyes understanding. I walked out of the cafe, still feeling that sense of calm she'd given me, but now with a sense of clarity too. I answered Sarah's call, and we talked. This time, however, I wasn't the man who tried to fit into her perfect image. I was just me. And as we spoke, I finally understood that the life I'd been building wasn't what I truly wanted. It was what I thought I should want. Letting go wasn't easy, but it felt right. Later that night, as I reflected on my day, I realized how much Emily had changed my perspective in just one conversation. She'd shown me that sometimes the most meaningful connections are found in the most unexpected places. And maybe, just maybe, the life I was searching for was out there, waiting to be discovered beyond the world I had created. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others. Your support helps us keep creating valuable content. Thank you.